Is up in the sky. Welcome to a Fifth of Jack Gaming, where today we're reviewing a book. That's right, we're reviewing a book. But it also happens to be dropping on the day of the release, somewhere around the release. Either way, we're going to be breaking down Superman Up in the Sky. That's right, this Walmart famous book ended up getting released in single issues over at Walmart, where you can end up having a few stories, where you can end up having a direct, where each issue had to have a story, but then it also had an overlapping story that came over with it. This is from Tom King and Adam Kubert on art, and it's an awesome little piece that we ended up picking up. So without further ado, whoa, before we go and visit this Up in the Sky event, let's talk about organic price books, where you can use the discount code of Fifth of Jack to save $2 off. If you have 4 or more books, use the code JACKET together to save 5% off your entire order instead. Orders of $30 or more ends up getting some free shipping, and you end up seeing how awesome OPB is. Alright, without further ado, let's dive into the book. So let's start off with let's start off with the dust jacket that we have here. This was a little bit different than the art that was up for pre-order. This is a deluxe copy of it, so that means it's a little bit bigger. It's going to be about the size of your omnibus that you're going to end up having. And then you also end up having this nice little cover that comes over with it. And then here's the spine and the back. This book is regular price is $35 or $34.99. Unless you happen to be in Canada, then it's $45.99. And this ends up having from the mind of Tom King, which you end up having Human Target, Mr. Miracle, and Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. There's a few big stories that you end up having that's from Tom King. Kubert, you know him for art. Awesome art. I think he's done some stuff with like Wolverine and stuff like that. But we'll end up breaking the book down. I believe this is 144 pages of goodness. And there is a few little extras that you can have in the book itself. So we'll break down the dust cover. I already broke down the spine and the cover. But you have these little end sheets. They have some nice little advertisement that comes along with it. And then you have this awesome hardcover that's on there. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to have a nice little voiceover where we end up going through the art. I'm sorry, but it's going to be a little bit backwards. Let's give you a heads up. I don't know why. I have to end up reworking the rig that I ended up having to set up. Eventually we'll get that fixed. But we'll see the art. We won't get to the extras because I want to leave a little bit of meat on the bones for you. That way you can always look up for it. Alright, without further ado, let's head on over and see what we have inside. As you see, there's a nice little end sheets that you have right here that's going to end up having a nice little like splat or outer space feel to it. We come over to a title page. And all the other creations that could come over with it. Right here we have a nice good introduction that's going to be coming from Tom King, and I ended up reading this because it's an amazing little story. It is like how hilarious that it is to make a challenge picture or a challenge book with the man in blue. And it says how that's preposterous. Well, for some vulgar language. Alright, so from this point on, we're going to end up having a nice little voiceover giving a general gist of what we have with this story. We came to find out there's been a violent crime that happened in Gotham from Batman talking about what ended up happening, and there was only one surviving member of this entire family that was going on. Well, 2 surviving members of this entire family is going on. One is in critical state, and that is a big Superman lover, and that what gets the story going on about talking about Alice. This entire book is about a journey that Superman ends up taking, finding out multiple different ways of how he ends up trying to find Alice. We find out that she is up in the sky. I kind of feel like the story goes over and humanizes Superman, and we end up seeing different experiences that end up shaping what's going on. Anywhere from having to be part of a front assault with the military, all the way over into a boxing fight, some inner turmoil with one another, having an awesome scene that we end up seeing where Superman says, "You make me weak," and Clark responds, "You never made me strong." Highly impactful, and it's definitely one of the ones that you end up seeing in an interview with Jake and the boys, with Tom King, and showing that over on this latest interview that he had with him. A couple other stories that you end up having is going to be him versus the Flash, doing a 10-lap race around the world, and the winner ends up given to the biggest charity. Lex Luthor ends up putting a lot of hour onto the stakes, but it was a pretty stellar way that comes over with it. We also get to see some dealings that's going to be with Darkseid, which is a big Superman thing that you never really expect. And no, there's not a veggie tray this time around. However, it does wrap up having Miss Alice right there, and a nice, awesome story with a... Alright, so the story is a very awesome story that we ended up having. Like I said, there was a little bit of spoilers that I ended up giving over with it. I'll end up having some nice timestamps that's going to be in this that you can end up avoiding those little spoilers that you end up having. This has a bunch of different stories that's in there, setting up with a president of a very likely where he's trying to save the world. Well, he's trying to do the Superman thing, is trying to save everyone that he can. But sometimes you end up trying to save one where you end up having the struggle of the entire thing. There is one that I completely love, and I'm not going to give away too much with it. It's just the one he has inner turmoil with himself and trying to figure out and having a discussion. That was the one that stuck out the most to me. If you ended up reading the book, let us know what moment stuck out to you. And beware about the comments, because there may be spoilers. So, if you want to be checking that out. Overall, I'm going to give this book a 4 out of 5. It's a solid book. It's a short little read. Like I said, it's 144 pages. It's a small read, so it's like super small, super easy. And it's also broken down in a bunch of digestible bites that you can end up making it. However, I find it better when you read it all in one shot. You end up getting more. This was the second time that I ended up reading this book. The first time I understood it, but it's been a while and I wanted to make sure I reviewed it. And we got to end up, well, obviously having a Superman story on a day where you end up having Superman drop for the movie. And that's another note that we can end up talking sometime, like a live stream or something about that. Because I can't wait to go see that. And this, I believe, inspires some of it. I can't say it inspired all of it because there's some other books and stories that goes over with it. And we got some good content creators that ended up breaking down more of the stories of Superman, like the top stories and stuff like that. Eventually, we'll end up doing something about that, but I wanted to focus on Up in the Sky. So, with that said, if you end up liking the content we're putting out, like, subscribe, and hit that little bell to be notified whenever we come out with new content. Thank you for watching. And until next time, look up into the sky.